My name's Darren Smith. I am 41 years old. I live in Deception Bay and I have a number of hobbies. One of those is beekeeping, but my main thing is I'm an electrician and I work for energy. So some of the major threats to bees, believe it or not, the cane toad's one of the big issues in southeast Queensland. Cane toads absolutely love to eat bees. The way you combat that is you can put the beehives up off the ground, so normally about 300 millimetres is enough. Anything less than that, the cane toad are actually smart enough that they make a pyramid. They hop on each other's backs and they get high enough that they can still pick the bees off as they're going in the hive. So that is a threat, but it's one that's fairly easy to combat. The other one that's even scarier isn't in Australia yet. So Australia is actually the only country in the world that doesn't have this one. It's called the varroa mite or Varroa destructor. So anything with a name like Varroa destructor is going to be pretty scary. Because it's not in Australia, I don't know a huge amount of it, but what I do know is that in America, the average beekeeper loses a third of their hives every year to the varroa mite. There's two trains of thought. One train of thought is that it sucks the blood of the bees. The other one is that it actually sucks the fat cells of the bees. Either way, it doesn't matter because it devastates the hives. The issue with bees coming in always happens at the ports. So it's where a swarm's landed in a container, made a hive, multiplies in that hive while it's making its way to Australia. It gets to Australia and then they interact with bees in the community and next thing you know, it's an outbreak. Interestingly, even though Australia doesn't have the varroa mite yet, Australian universities are doing a huge amount of research towards the eradication of varroa mite and actually got some of the best success rates in recent studies for that. If bees were to go extinct, there'd be a number of impacts on humans. There's the financial cost, because in Australia, beekeeping brings in around $80 million per year. There's also the cost of pollination. There'd be less food because the bees do pollinate the food and increase the yield. So if someone wants to get involved in beekeeping as a hobbyist, much like what I do, there's a number of ways you can go about it. You can do what I did and just jump in the deep end, buy a beehive and away you go. I'd recommend finding your local beekeeping club and finding a mentor, working with someone, learning with someone before you actually get your bees. And that way when you do finally get your beehive, you have a whole lot of knowledge and you actually know what you're doing, so your bees are more likely to thrive.